Hello, writers, and welcome back to Spooky Writes, your channel all about writing. I'm your host, who is secretly a ghost, Kamal Onor. Now, have you ever wondered why writing feels so lonely? Have you ever wondered why no one else seems to get it? Well, make sure that if you get any value out of this video, make sure that you hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed, and while you're down there, make sure to ring that notification bell. That way you'll never miss an episode. And with that said, let's head into the storm.
It's the raven's call, the werewolf's howl, the vampire's bite. You search through the woods for safety, but all you find is... Okay, rights.
So today we are answering the question of why is writing so lonely? Why does the act of writing feel so lonely? And why is it in fact lonely? Well, make sure that you stick through this whole video because some of the things that I'm going to be talking about are things that beginning authors tend to not realize about the act of writing. So let's get started with the fact that so many people have no idea what it takes to be an author. So many people have no idea what is required to write. So many people believe this idea that just because you speak your native language, just because you have an idea, means that you are capable of writing a best-selling novel, that it means that you will be able to make money writing. And this is not the truth. So many people spend their years devoted to the craft of writing, and it takes more than an idea to be successful as an author. It takes persistence, it takes discipline to the craft, it takes resilience, it takes years of dedication to this art, to this craft of writing. So many people have this rose-colored glasses idea of what it's like to be an author. I've been told many times, personally even, just write your novel because you'll make so much money and because there's royalties to be had once you have a novel published. This is not the case. I've had over 30 publications in terms of short stories, and there just isn't a lot of money to be had out there in terms of publishing, in terms of novels, unless you are a fraction of a percentage point. You're most likely not going to be trading in your day job to write novels. It would be very nice if we could all just write novels, but even the idea of sitting down and creating a novel-length work, of being just so full of inspiration with a full cup of coffee or a full mug of tea and just sitting down and being filled with inspiration, it's hard work. And yes, it is work. And this is the thing, this is one of the big reasons why writing is so lonely, is because most people out there have never attempted to write a novel-length manuscript. Most people out there have no idea what it actually takes to be an author, what type of dedication it takes to be a writer. So many people have this delusion of it's easy. So many people think, well, you speak and you can write, therefore that means that everyone has a novel in them. So what makes you special? You just have to come up with some idea that's going to resonate with an audience. You have to have that $1 million idea, and these million ideas are not something you should be chasing. You should be chasing craft, you should be chasing getting better at the act of writing. And you do this through reading and writing and spending years of your life dedicated to the act of writing. You can certainly go to school, you can get a degree in writing. I have my master's degree in creative writing, and I'm still writing short stories. I enjoy the act of writing short stories. For me, short stories are more enjoyable than writing novels. I've also written novels. I've written so many pieces of various length, but the simple act of writing is incredibly lonely because it's time spent in a room by yourself. Yes, that's right. Writing. Most people are not able to write surrounded with. There are people who are able to go to cafes and write, and they enjoy that sort of background white noise atmosphere, but there's no one standing over their shoulder reading their work while they're turning it out. There's no one there really to bounce ideas back and forth. We don't write by committee. Most people don't write by committee. Most people, it's time spent alone in a room by yourself, which that alone can make the act of writing and the act of creating extremely lonely. But what makes it even more lonely is the fact that so few people out there will ever support your dreams. So few people out there will ever actually get, so few people will actually ever get it. And it being that desire to write, that desire to dedicate your time to reading, that the desire to dedicate yourself to an act that doesn't have a promising monetary return. So many people will say, "Oh, you're trying to be the next insert best-selling author here," and when you respond to them and say, "I'm not trying to be the next Stephen King. I'm not trying to be the next J.K. Rowling. I'm not trying to be the next best-selling author insert here. I'm trying to be the best author that I can possibly be." Majority of people out there have a very hard time of conceptualizing this, because most people assume if you want to be an author, it's because you're chasing the dream of making millions of dollars and becoming famous. And this is not the case for most of us out there who are writing. Most of us out here writing are pursuing a craft and continuing to strive for better and better stories. We are writing because we enjoy the act of writing. We enjoy the hard work. And most people out there don't understand that. And because of that, this leads to a feeling of isolation. It leads to a feeling that you're not able to share your ideas with the majority of people out there. I certainly can't walk up to someone who has never written before and say, and tell them about how excited I am about completing a chapter, because they'll go, "Oh, well, what's a chapter? Tell me when you have your novel finished." And I've gone to people and I've said, I have a short story that's published, and again, people will not read it. They will not take the time out of their day to participate in my enjoyment of the fact that I have had this short story published. And so writing is very lonely, because the act itself is a selfish act. You need time alone by yourself in a room. It's also a lonely act because the majority of people out there will not understand what it takes to be an author. They will not understand the type of dedication that it takes to the craft. They will not understand why you even have this desire to write. And so it's so important that when you find people who believe in your writing and people who support you in your writing, it's so important to hold on to those people and make sure that they are close to you. Make sure that the people who do go out of their way and make an attempt to understand your writing, who make an attempt to go the extra mile in supporting your writing, whether that's just reading your publication, whether it's reading your work unprompted without you having to go and say, "Hey, please read this work. It's been published. I have all these publications. Please read this work." When someone reads my work without me prompting them, without me having to take them by the hand and direct them to my publications, to my writing, when I mention I have a website and they will look it up on their own, that's probably the best compliment that I can receive, is when someone hears you're an author and they look me up and then they say, I read all your publications over the weekend and I love them. And so, and in that small way, it makes it feel a little less lonely. So my advice would be, if you are feeling that writing is incredibly lonely, you need to start finding people you need to go out and find people who are also writers. You need to find people who have attempted to write novels. You need to find that community. There were definitely times throughout my educational journey where I felt I had found people who understood why we were writing, because we were all going through the same writing program. We were all pursuing the same goal of getting a degree in writing. We were all pursuing this idea of becoming an author, of becoming a writer. But after graduating, I have not been able to find that person. And this is one of the reasons why I started this channel, was to try and have a community of writers And with that, keep it spooky. And of course, here's your writing prompt for sticking all the way through the video. Mark jumped up, excited for the chance to write blank. So set your timer and start writing. Thank you so much.